In America, many people going through high school have issues and reservations about the high school life. Most of this concerning what group do I belong to? Do I belong with the geeks, the jocks, the popular kids, or the outcast? Nowhere can this be better explained than the 1989 cult film Heathers, starring Winona Ryder, who found her fame in Beetlejuice, a Tim Burton film just a few years prior, and having a second wind in her career in the new TV show and 80s horror throwback Stranger Things. Those who tend to discover this film have a really deep appreciation for it. It uses dark humor and satire to show the veil of the social games that we play day to day throughout high school and throughout our life. I will by no means spoil anything too major in this film, but I would like to share my opinions with you and hope to convince you to watch it yourself. And maybe, after hearing my opinions, you can formulate your own after watching the film. So let's begin. As the movie starts out, we're introduced to Winona Ryder's character, Veronica, and her daily social interactions in high school. I think the movie's interesting of how it tells its story. It kind of has two avenues in a way. First, by telling a linear story through the visuals and you just watching Veronica interact with the high school and her friends and parents. But then there's also Veronica's diary that she reads from throughout the movie.
Dear Diary, I want to kill, and you have to believe it's for more than just selfish reasons.
It gives it this unique feel in a sense that not all movies allow you to look at the thoughts of the character, but with the diary, you're able to do that. Veronica quickly tries to find her place in the school. She associates with a popular group of girls called the Heathers, because all girls' names happen to be Heather. She finds herself doing deplorable things to please the Heathers, but she doesn't really know why. It isn't until Christian Slater's character, Jason Dean, that she starts to realize something. With Jason's help, she's able to look at things from the outside in, instead of the other way around. However, this movie treads this line of teen angst, and how it usually leads to self-destruction. Veronica has not too far gone, however Jason seems to be too far gone. Veronica seems like she still has some hope, but however Jason, due to some tragedies in his past, it seems that he's already been shaped to become this monster. The whole movie, you kind of want to root for Veronica to see the light in a sense, and break away from the dark turn that Jason had already taken. However, during their relationship, she enjoys causing trouble throughout the school. I don't want to go into detail of everything they do because I feel like that may spoil the movie. But what they do is try to alter the norms of the school and try to break down some of these tyrants that they believe that holds the school like a puppet master. However, as they quickly realize, as people tend to fall, another one just takes its place.
Another fucking Heather.
It's kind of a satire on how the world keeps on turning. Even when in the face of a tyrant, one will just always take its place. Veronica realizes the harm she's caused in her actions. She tries to break away from Jason, but somehow he just keeps on pulling her back in. The dynamic between the two is something really unique. It's hard to explain, but please give the movie a watch and you'll know what I'm talking about. Briefly talked about the atmosphere, but I kind of want to go a little deeper because I think that's what really cements this movie as a cult film. It's very low budget in terms of the cinematography. It's got that kind of grainy look that almost feels more appropriate for the 70s, but seeing as this movie was almost made in the 90s, it kind of gives it this weird dating kind of thing. Even though 90s culture was starting to plant its seed, it seems like this movie tries to keep it rooted into the classic 80s high school style. The school itself is a bunch of walking cliches with stoners,
What?
popular girls,
I'm worshipped Westerberg, and I'm only a junior.
geeks, jocks,
Righteous to be in a Veronica Sawyer Heather Chandler sandwich.
so you name it. It's a recurring theme that on the radio plays a song called Teenage Suicide, which is supposed to be playing throughout the nation, becoming quickly as a #1 hit. Kind of symbolizes the teenage angst that eventually leads to self-destruction. Some young people have trouble overcoming this, such as Veronica. It seems that Jason has already foregone change and will never turn back.
Sucks.
And it's up to us to root for Veronica to realize that everything isn't as doomed as it may seem. It's kind of weird to place this in a genre per se. It can easily be classified as a high school movie, it can easily be made into a psychoanalysis kind of movie, maybe psycho horror in a lot of aspects. There is a lot of horror in the movie. At times it can seem like Silence of the Lambs, and in other parts it can kind of seem like Ferris Bueller, which I know those two movies are vastly different from each other, but they create a really good mix in this movie. The psychoanalysis of the characters are something to really think over. I think its establishment of a cult film has to do with that very fact. Since it's not able to be placed in a certain genre, people just see it as a very unique idea in itself. So it's not going to put it in the psychological thriller or the horror or the high school movie. Since it touches all different circles, it just stays in the cult film genre. I didn't find this movie till very recently, 2 years or so ago. I happened to catch it on a streaming service, and noticing that Winona Ryder and Christian Slater were in it, two actors who I vastly appreciate in their other work. Winona Ryder being in Beetlejuice and Christian Slater in being in the hit TV show Mr. Robot. After finishing the viewing, I have to say I was very impressed with how it established itself as its own thing. To wrap things up, I just want to say, please give this movie a watch. It's very dark undertone, but at the same time comedic relief. Can be a weird experience while watching through it the first time, but you grow to appreciate it when you reach the end. It has that independent feel if that's what you're looking for, and it does have a semi-lighthearted message to it. I think this is a perfect film to study in terms of independent filmmaking, and I also think it's a perfect film to actually just sit down and enjoy watching. After my first viewing, I found myself watching it several times with my girlfriend, and we both seem to love it so much. When I'm introducing people to movies that I know that are not in the mainstream per se, this is definitely one of those movies that I recommend to those who are looking to broaden their horizons in terms of more out there movies. So overall, I think this movie is really important in the movie industry. I just hope that you give it a watch yourself and that you form your own opinions about it. And by the way,
Did you say a cherry or Coke slushie?
I didn't. Cherry.